This is Tom Colley for Through the Ropes Boxing. It's an absolute pleasure to be joined with world-renowned trainer Dave Coldwell. Dave, how are you?
Very good, thanks, mate. How are you?
Yeah, very good, thank you. Very good. I was just saying off air there, Dave, I know I've been pestering you for this interview for a while, so it's a pleasure to have you on, and thanks very much for making the time to speak to Through the Ropes.
No problem at all, mate. It's a pleasure to be on. It's nice to finally, schedules aligned so I can get on with you.
Yeah, brilliant. So yeah, Dave, just wanted to start with, I know you've got a few fantastic fighters in your stable at the moment. Hopey Price, unbeaten prospect, coming up very quick in the featherweight division. What's next for Hopey? Have you got anything lined up for his next bout? Or
well, it's mandatory for the British title, for the British featherweight title. Unfortunately, in his last fight he damaged his left hand. And we was told, we're under Mike Hayton, who's world-renowned hand specialist, was told, like, leave it for about 10 weeks, don't puncture it for 10 weeks, see how it settles, fingers crossed you don't need an operation. Left it for 12 weeks, came back tapping away with it and just caught it, and it still hurts. So he's actually scheduled for an op on Saturday, so he's going to have the hand sorted, and then once it's fixed, then it will be able to, to get back to a date when we can, take that fight.
That's a shame, and
yeah, frustrating. It's very frustrating, and I feel for the kid. And but it's one of those things where plenty of fighters have these sort of issues and these sort of problems, and it's better to get it out of the way now, because you could come back, not have the surgery, put up with the pain, because it really does hurt. Put up with the pain, fight it, go again, and then you've got to do it all over again, stop start. So we're going to get it all done and get it fixed, and so we can get some momentum going again.
I think famously Joe Calzaghe, he always had problems with his hands throughout his whole career and had to keep coming back from that. So yeah, I know it can happen. Will you, when Hopey comes back from his injury, will it be a case of going straight back in for the British title, or would it be a case of building him back up?
That'd be the plan, but obviously it depends. We've got to wait on recovery and see how long that's going to be. And also, we can't expect Nathaniel Collins to be stalling and waiting. It depends on his schedule as well, because obviously he's got his own career and his own path to look at. So we'll see how it all aligns. We've just got to make sure that he's back and he's back able to punch, and then we'll take it from there.
What do you see that the ceiling is with Hopey, Dave? And of course, he's in line now for a British title. He's still very young, he's making moves very quickly. But you've led Tony Bellew to world titles. Do you see that Hopey could do the same?
Yeah, no doubt about it. He's got the potential, he's got the ability, he's got the mentality. It's just the experience. And I've not allowed him to be rushed like a lot of prospects are. I feel as though when somebody has the potential to be outstanding, then I like to take my time a little bit more with them, gather that experience, sparring, fight-wise, build them up steadily, rather than like letting them off leash too early, and then they get found out through lack of experience. And maybe they get beat in a fight, where if there are like a couple more fights that have won, do you know what I mean? I feel as though as you're a prospect and as you're developing, and the fights that you have, you're ticking boxes all the way through. You're adding things to your game. I think you're adding armor to your outfit. But you've got to go through the experiences in order to have that experience and that knowledge. You can't hit it, you can't buy it, you can't borrow experience. You have to go through shit in order to add that to your game, and that's what I'm trying to do with Hopey. We've had different styles of opponents. We've always had good quality opponents, even early on in his career. He's had opponents where they've been with good quality operators. They've got a good record. They come to win. So yeah, he's developing at a nice pace. My plan was for him this year, 2024, later on this year, for him to challenge for the British title, but obviously it became mandatory on the back of the last win. So then the plan is it was for March, but obviously now, because of the hand, that's going to get put back. but he's not going to get the fights that I wanted in an ideal world before that. But the experience he picks up in his last couple of fights has been fantastic. You know, Jimmy Beach and Conor Cogill have been really good fights for him. Good fights in terms of his development, but also the things that we work on in the gym for him to put him into a little bit more trickier, high pressure sort of situations in fights. And yeah, I'm over the moon with his progress, and I feel as though with the right timing and the right development as he goes on, yeah, he's one that I think could be a star of the sport in the future.
We look forward to seeing him back and seeing his return. Another one of your stable, Dave, Jordan Gill. He's in a fantastic fight coming up against Zelfa Barret. How are you preparing him for that, and how did that fight come around?
I'm not training Jordan anymore.
Apologies.
No, Jordan. The last fight that we did together was the Kiko Martinez, and then obviously he had his personal issues that he had to sort out and go through, and so yeah, he's back down at home. He lives back at home now, and he travels. It's literally an hour away from him to travel to Ben Davison, so he's working with Ben. So you know, the last fight and moving forward, he's with Ben stable. I'm absolutely over the moon for him. There's no fallout. We're still very, very good friends. We still, you know, stay in touch like a few times a week, messaging or whatever. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's always just a case about him being happy and moving forward, and he's in that spot now, and now he's in a really exciting, great phase of his career. I'm looking forward to the Zelfa Barret fight. It's actually a fight that he has always kind of fancied. It's just one of those where he thought, well, it'll probably not happen because Zelfa was like super featherweight, you know, going quite further on with his career. Jordan was trying to get established at featherweight. But yeah, now they're both the same weight division. He's got a fight where I know he'll be very, very confident in. But it's a good fight. It's a really good fight. It's a good fight for the fans. Zelfa's a very, very good fighter. Can whack, is sharp. You know, his experience has been in with some good operators in his own career. So I think at this stage of the careers for them both, it's a really, really good fight. So yeah, that's where we are on Jordan, really. I'm just a fan now.
Polish up my boxing knowledge there, Dave. I didn't realise you guys are parted ways, but it's good to hear that you're still friends. And yeah, definitely an exciting fight coming up with him and Zelfa. Wouldn't be right to come on here and talk with you and then not talk about Tony Bellew. Did you watch him in I'm a Celebrity, Dave?
You know what? I didn't see enough of it, and I've still got it on record because I was out in America. So I didn't get to see much of it. I saw a little bit of him, like the first few days, and then my kids were sending me his like snippets. They'll be recording it on TV, on the phone, and sending it me over. He come across really, really well, done brilliant. I'm over the moon for him. It was good that the public have warned to him, like, you know, that's what Bellew is. You know, he's got a heart that's bigger than a house, and he's very, very loyal. He's funny and he's straight to the point. But I thought he'd come across brilliant in it, and yeah, I am going to eventually catch up on it all properly. It's just snippets here and there. When I got back, I started watching a little bit, but I'm just being that busy at the moment. We got lots of things that are going off. I've not had a chance to catch up on fully, but yeah, I'm over the moon for him.
Yeah, he definitely came across well, and still trying to get him on to come on to Through the Ropes. I spoke to Stitch Duran the other day, and he said that Tony will come on, but still working on that one.
Yeah, but Bellew's always busy, so I mean, he's always busy. But I would imagine now, on the back of that, it's just madness. He's got a lot of stuff that he's got going on, and plus he's worked it for DAZN and whatever. So yeah, he's busy, and then to have. He's got a big family as well, so to look after everybody there and spread your time around, it's a little bit difficult.
And on Tony, Dave, I know it's a bit of a hypothetical question, but you've seen the rise of Jai Opetai in the last couple of years. I mean, obviously he's been working at his boxing for since he was a young lad, but really come to prominence and won his world title in the last year or two. And just wanted to get your thoughts if Bellew was around now in his prime. Could you see him mixing it with Opetai, and is that a fight he could win?
I'm not even going to get into that, because it's like that I'm a massive fan of Opetai, and he's a very, very good fighter. But I'm not going to like running down by saying, "Oh yeah, would you expect me to side with?" Do you know what I mean? That's my fighter that I've coached, you know. So yeah, I'm not even going to get into that, because Opetai is now and the future of the cruiserweight division. I believe he's the best cruiserweight that's around right now. I think he beats them all, and you know, I think he's there to stay for as long as he wants, really, in the cruiserweight ring. I think he's a very, very good fighter. Don't get me wrong, there are good fights out there for him in the division, but I think he's the number one. Is he big enough to move up to heavyweight? I don't know. It tends to be a thing that a lot of cruiserweights like to do, because that's where the real money's at. But he's young, and you don't know who's going to be around in the heavyweight division in a few years' time. So maybe he moves up then. But for now, Tony's career is the past, and Opetai present and future.
It certainly would have been a good fight, anyway. So, did you get a chance to watch the John Ryder versus Jaime Munguia fight on the weekend, Dave? And what were your thoughts on that?
I thought John gave it a really good go. One thing about him I've always said is he's one of our most underrated and probably unappreciated boxers. Doesn't shout his mouth off, keeps himself to himself, but when he gets in there, he's giving these top boys a good fight, you know. And no, he's not beating the top guys, but he's showing that he can operate at that level. You know, he gave Canelo a good fight after a horrible start. His nose gone and everything. Took a lot of shots, but gave Canelo a good fight. And then with Munguia as well, it was an exciting fight because he was always in it. You know, obviously, you know, got caught with a flash knockdown early, and you're thinking, oh shit. But then he's constantly catching Munguia, and he's keeping it. He's being competitive in there. But I thought, I'll be honest with you, that's the best that I've seen Munguia box.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm a fan of his because I just see him as a fun fighter. You know, he's there. He's going to get it, but he's always looking to throw loads and loads of punches and land his bombs on you. But I thought he was technically better than what he's been. I don't know if that was his first fight or second fight with Freddie Roach, but you can see that he's improving, and he's very, very young. But I thought John gave him a good fight, correct stoppage and everything. You know, I think there's nothing out of order there. I just think he gave it a really good fight. He's had a great career. If you look to his resume as well, he's had a lot of real fights. And you know, a couple of debatable decisions, a couple of losses, and then at the top level, you know, he's made his money, and he's given a really good account of himself. Where you know, you can say he's that fighter. Not everybody's destined to be world champions and elite fighters, but there are fighters there that you say they belong in that circle where they can have fights with any of the guys at the top of the division, and I think he's proved that.
Yeah, it was really put in a really commendable performance against Munguia, and again showed tons of heart, as you always do.
I'll say something else as well. One thing we always talk about is, you know, after you've had that Canelo money, that desire and that willingness to take as much punishment as what you maybe would have done before you got Canelo money.
Yeah.
Listen, fair play to John, because it could have been where, you know, especially Edo gets hit with that shot and he thinks he's quite comfortable now. He's, you know, and he's got this payday on the back of that one. He could have easily have just thought, you know what, I'm at this stage of my career now. I don't need to be hanging in there taking big shots.
Yeah.
But he didn't. He still fought as a fighter trying to win a fight. And there's a lot to be said for that when people have when they've had that life-changing money. So again, that's more credit to John Ryder's character.
Definitely. Would you like to see the Jaime Munguia go on and fight like Canelo now for the And how do you see that one going if that gets made?
Don't get me wrong. I think Canelo wins the fight. But I think Munguia makes it exciting. Mungai against Benavidez. Who else is there? Belanga. Is Belanga still at super middleweight?
I'm not sure, but Benavidez is another.
Yeah,
those
so
are
any
the
of
three
those
at the
sort of guys, I think they're just great fights to watch.
Definitely.
So I just hope they get made, really.
Definitely. And we know there was a lot of talk. Conor Benn was due to fight Chris Eubank Jr. Never ended up materialising. He's now in against, I believe he's unbeaten American in Dobson. How do you see that one go? Do you know much about Dobson? And what do you make of that fight?
I don't really know anything about Dobson. I imagine that he's been picked so Conor Benn can go out there and look $1 million. So I expect that's what's going to happen.
Okay. And did you watch as well, going back a week or a couple of weeks now, Callum Smith, another again against a monster in Beterbiev? Did you get a chance to watch that fight, and what did you make of that?
So before the fight, looking at Callum Smith at light heavyweight, I think he's filled out. He looks a lot healthier, a lot stronger, and how sharp his punches can be, especially the counters, and how Beterbiev, you look at him, you think surely is it this fight where age catches up, and is it this fight that age catches up?
Yeah.
And the fact that he's been caught before early doors, and he gets it a little bit against Yard. He was getting caught with good shots. Obviously, Callum Johnson drops him. So you think, I fancy Callum to pull this off. And I just thought timing. Just had a feeling timing. I think he's got him at the right time. I'll tell you what, he actually, Beterbiev has always chewed fighters up, has always battered fighters, it always hurts fighters. He's got that horrible power, that horrible presence, always had great feet to cut you off and to put you under pressure. But what I was really impressed with him was, I thought his hand position and his defense was better than what I've seen it before. He was. I don't know if that's because he had more respect for Callum going in there, where he thought, I can't afford to give, because obviously he's got physical advantages. He's very, very tall, very, very long. I can't afford to give Callum that range and let him get his shots off. And I thought his hand position was very, very good. So even though Callum was throwing, either he'd step back and make Callum fall short and lean him forward, or he'd catch the shots. I thought he's generally better than I've seen him for quite a while. If I can't remember, just looking, especially the levels, because Beterbiev not always fought top level fighters. Some of his, and you see him, what he's doing. Obviously, in the amateurs he did, and then later on, obviously he's had some really good fights now lately. But earlier on in his career, then like a lot of people, where you're coming through and you're knocking everybody out, the quality is perhaps not quite there. So I thought for this stage of his career and who he's in against, I thought he looked really, really good, outstanding.
And how do you see it going with the super fight that everyone wants to see in the light heavy undisputed Bivol, Beterbiev?
This is why we want to see it, mate. This is why we want to see it, because you could ask 100 boxing fans and everyone's going to be chopping and changing. Everyone's going to have different opinions. It's one of those fights where you don't know. Nobody knows. But can't wait to see it. I've always fancied Bivol because I've always thought his feet and his long-range boxing ability, I thought I'll beat Beterbiev. I've always been quite confident. If you ask me that question, I'll be like, Bivol, straight away. But I'm going on Beterbiev's hand positioning and his presence in the ring. I just think if his defense is as good as that, as he's applying the pressure, does Bivol's movement and yes, it gives him problems early doors, but does he start wearing him out? And the heavy-handedness of Beterbiev, does that start grinding him to a standstill? And then if he stood in front of him, then does Beterbiev chew him up? I just don't know. I can see that happening now, and from being literally literally super confident that Bivol wins. I'm now, I don't know, and I kind of lean towards Beterbiev. But that's what boxing is. When you judge fighters, you kind of judge them on the last performances, right? Yes, you look at all the rest of what, but really, there's a saying where they say, you're as good as your last fight.
Yeah.
And I just think that Beterbiev showed me a lot of good things in that fight, and I kind of figure, well, Bivol, for the first 4 rounds, he always looks amazing, but then it's kind of like if he doesn't get rid of you, it kind of like settles into the same. And so, will that work against somebody like Beterbiev? I don't know. But I just want to see it, mate, and that's why it's a good fight, because you could have a different opinion to me, different opinion to everybody could have different opinions on this fight, and that's what makes a good fight, really, and that's the kind of fights we want to see.
Definitely, and that's what the fans want, isn't it? The genuine 50-50s where no one can pick it. I've sort of always leant towards Bivol on that one as well, just I think he could outbox Beterbiev, but yeah, you can't write a man like that off, can you?
No, not at all.
Just a couple more fights. Wanted to get your opinions on, Dave. Upcoming massive bouts. Firstly, Fury against Usyk, the undisputed heavyweight title. Again, it's one of those 50-50s. You speak to any person on the street, everyone's got a different opinion. Who does Dave Coldwell foresee is going to win that?
I don't know. I don't know, because again, let's go back to what I've just said. If you're going to judge them on the last fights, I think they both look beatable. I thought Fury looked terrible, and I thought Usyk looked vulnerable. But the opponents that they had were completely different to each of these men, that are fighting each other. Usyk, we all know about his ability, we all know his skill set. Fury, we all know that Usyk doesn't like body shots. He's never liked body shots. Fury, you would imagine he's going to go to the body. But Fury's got the height and reach, the range to make it very, very hard for Usyk to get in and out, raiding, working, and not getting caught back on the way out, or not getting mauled on the inside. If you close that gap, I would imagine Fury would just want to hold, maul, and just tire his legs out. And if he tires his legs out, then if Usyk's not got the mobility, it becomes a very, very hard fight for him. I just think also then you've got to look at, yes, I think he took Ngannou very, very lightly. I don't care what he says. He says he didn't, but I think he did. But also, how much of that performance was down to just wear and tear of the Wilder fight? You can have a fights like that, the third Wilder fights like that are what people used to talk about, where a fighter leaves a little piece of him in fights like that. The first fight with Wilder took some big shots. The second one, he was outstanding. But then the third fight with Wilder, again, you got to remember, Wilder punches really, really hard. Forget what you want about technically, but he punches really, really hard. And in that third fight, they were both just swapping bombs. And I don't think Wilder's ever been he's not the same since the third fight. It's Fury that's done to Wilder. You can't just write Wilder's career off because of his last performance and how bad he looked. Of course, he's never been a master boxer, but you've got to understand the beatings that he took from the 3 Fury fights. He took big bombs. The second one, he got absolutely hammered. The third one, he took a lot of punishment, and he got massive balls. And sometimes when you've got these massive balls, it has a detrimental effect on your career going forward. So with Fury, is he feeling the effects of the hard punches, the hard night? Don't forget sparring, training, years of being in the sport. the effects that he's done, with his body and things like that, and sooner or later things catch up on you. Did we see some of that in the Ngannou fight? Perhaps so. And then you're talking, I don't know. I'll be honest with you. For me, there's so many factors in this fight, but ultimately, if Fury's got any sharpness about him, and if he's still got a lot left, then it's a very, very hard night for Usyk, just for the sheer size. It's just the sheer size. I mean, he's not so much boxing ability. I think Usyk's boxing ability can beat Tyson Fury. Can he beat and negate the physical attributes that Fury's got? And that's where the fight hangs for me. And I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I just think it's such an intriguing fight. And also, I think because of maybe perhaps the wear and tear of both of them, because perhaps both of them are perhaps a little bit more vulnerable than what they were a couple of years ago, a year ago, I think it makes for a better fight. Because I think originally when we first talked about this fight a couple of years back, and people were talking about Usyk, Fury and whatever, I always said it's going to be. I can't wait to watch it because I like watching boxing skills. Not just about tear-ups, but I can sit there and watch two master technicians at work, and I enjoy that. Not a lot of people do. So I was saying it'll be a really good fight for people like myself, but I think the fans might think it's a stinker. But going on the back of the last two fights, both of them's last fights, and you see where maybe there's a little edge that's been knocked off on both, it makes for a better fight. I think they're both easier to hit than what they were before, and that makes for a better fight. If you've got two guys that are masterful defensively, it's not going to be a really entertaining fight for fans. But I think these two fighters now take more punches than what they used to do, and so it's going to make for a really exciting fight.
I agree. I mean, neither of them are probably quite as light on their toes as they were a few years ago.
No, and that's not being disrespectful to either. That's just boxing life. That's just having the great careers that they've had.
Yeah,
that's the effects of great careers when you've been around for so long. Usyk's had a couple hundred amateur fights or whatever it is. Fury's had a amateur career that then turned professional, and he's been boxing for so long. These guys are in the 30s, mid 30s or something like that now. It's only natural that there's a drop off, and you're perhaps not quite as sharp as what you once was. That's not a slight on either fighter. It's just that I feel as though I might be wrong, but I feel, because I thought that about Beterbiev. I thought Beterbiev was slightly on the downward, and then his defenses, because he'd worked on his defenses and his hand position was better than what I've seen before. Then you look at me and think, you don't look as though there's any deterioration in there at all. So I might be wrong with both of them, but I just have that feeling, and I think because of that, I think it makes for a better fight to watch.
Can we push you for a prediction, Dave? You have to put your house on it.
I won't put my house on it. It's one of those where I genuinely, and the last fights makes it even more intriguing. The Ngannou fight with Fury, because it was such a shocking result. But then the flip side is that's tuned Fury in 100%. So the hype, the bullshit, and everything that he's had over the last few years, everybody praising him, kissing his arse, maybe that brought him, and I thought, you know what, job's not done yet. And he switched on, and we might get to see the best Tyson Fury that we've ever seen, But anything less than the best Fury we've seen, I think he gets beat. It's a good fight.
It certainly is. And just moving on finally, Dave, we're sort of seeing Anthony Joshua 2.0. We've then also seen Francis Ngannou come in, put Tyson Fury on his backside, which I don't think anyone in boxing was expecting. I was off my seat.
No.
And now all of a sudden we're seeing Joshua versus Ngannou in what looks like a semi-final for Fury and Joshua and Ngannou. And it is incredibly exciting for boxing fans like myself. How do you see the fight with Ngannou and Joshua going? And would you like to see those two in the final against either Fury or Usyk?
Obviously, yeah, you want to see the winners of A versus the winners of B. I just think it's going to be a really good fight. I think it's going to be brilliant to watch. It's going to be one of those where, because there's this air of vulnerability, and we've seen that Ngannou possesses the powers to drop Fury. Not only that, he gave him problems on a boxing level as well. I think it's a really good fight. And before Ngannou fought Fury, it was like, it's a circus. But Ngannou's actually proved himself, because if he can do that to the guy that we hold as the number 1 or number 2 in the division, the elite in the division, then you can't knock the AJ Ngannou fight. You can't knock it, because it's not it's not a world title fight. It's not like he's getting a shot at a world title. It's a non-title fight, and AJ's picked Ngannou where he knows that Ngannou possesses the powers to drop Fury, possesses the boxing ability to cause Fury a lot of problems on a boxing level, and we all know Fury is a very, very skilled boxer. So he has huge assets there that can cause problems for Joshua. So I think Joshua needs credit for taking this fight, because he doesn't have to. He knows he can go down the route and fight Ergovic or for the IBF, because that'll come vacant. Once this first undisputed, they're not going to. IBF aren't going to allow the rematch. For their belt, that belt will end up being vacant. So Joshua can just sit there or go, I'll pick him because he's a bit safer. But he's not. He's gone for Ngannou. Now, you're talking about a former 2-time world heavyweight champion who's got names like Klitschko on his resume. Klitschko, Parker, he's beaten some good names. So you would expect him to be Ngannou. But Ngannou possesses the power, and I think the dimensions, the reach on him, the length of his arms could be a real problem for AJ. So it's a really exciting fight. It's a great fight. I expect AJ to win, but it'll be edgy while ever it's going on. And I think it's going to be a real. And also, I think Ngannou is going to be a lot more confident now after doing what he did with Fury, after negating the distance with Fury. When you're going into it, listen, he's only done 5 rounds and stuff like that. I know it's a different sport, but when you've not done that distance, in the back of your mind, you don't want to blow a gasket, and you're like, pace yourself. He now knows, he'll know how comfortable he was doing the distance. Does he pick it up? Does he make it harder? Does he make the pace faster? But he's got that patience as well, so you don't know when he's going to go. It's a good fight. It's a fight I'm really excited about, and I'm looking forward to it. And I'm probably going to go, as a fan, I'm going to go over there, I think, hopefully, if I can.
I don't blame you, Dave. I don't blame you. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on, Dave. Thank you for speaking to Through the Ropes Boxing.
Cheers, mate. Carry on.
Hopefully we'll do it again soon.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
Thank you.